Let's look at the AP poll. Let's compare it to our Inside Baseball JP poll, and let's talk about most underrated teams in the country. Out of all the teams in the top 25, where the AP disagrees with our model the most, the Oregon Ducks are the most underrated team in the top 25. The AP has them at 15. You know where the model had the audacity to rank Oregon? The JP poll has Oregon at number 5. 5, people. I said 5, as in on the precipice of playoff contention. That's the biggest discrepancy. I think Bo Nix is still undervalued. The model thinks Bo Nix is still undervalued as a quarterback, but also, and this is where I think rubber probably meets road about the discrepancy, we think their line of scrimmage talent, both sides, is still a little undervalued. And that especially goes for offensive line because they're having to replace a lot. So in preview season, in August camp season, people still sometimes can't get it through their heads that just because you're replacing departed starters, it doesn't always mean you fall off. We don't think Oregon's fallen off a lot there. And conversely, on the other side of the ball, we think there's a pretty sizable improvement coming this year. So the totality of the roster, the value of the quarterback position, the year 1 to year 2 coaching advantage that I think they'll get from Dan Lanning and a lot of his staff having been there a full year, and the energy around the program, which you can't really quantify, that's got Oregon way up there in the model. Way up there. Number 5? Are you crazy? No. So stay tuned on where we predict them to go in the Pac-12 and beyond. Next up, I'm going to do it. Am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Texas A&M, one of the most underrated teams in the country. Someone call Lucci and tell him to watch the show. AP has A&M at 23. Frankly, I was shocked they ranked A&M. So good on the voters. They got A&M at 23rd. It's not high enough. The model, the JP poll, has A&M at 14th. Now, we just aren't baking in 2022, and if you're an AP voter, what else do you have to go on, right? So you're baking in 2022. We're all about where we think the team is now. We're about where we think the team is going. So whether you won close games or lost close games last year, the model would just look at you as the same team, roughly. I know an AP voter doesn't think that way. We love the roster. We think the staff upgraded. There was a net upgrade there, and that counts. I'm not quite at the Dave Bartu level of, properly rating and grading every coach in America. Here, there, and yon, as JR would say. But we do think there was a staff upgrade. This is a top 5 team in blue chip ratio. It is a top 5 roster in college football. I know the record was bad last year. It's all the more reason to me to expect a little bounce back. Number 2 defense, projected by S&P Plus in the country this year. We think A&M's underrated. Number 14, how about that? Again, you want story of the year potential. There it is, right in front of your face in College Station. I'm staying in the SEC West, and this is where it's time to crack the knuckles a little bit. Mississippi State's the most underrated team on this list for us. The AP had Mississippi State ranked 40th preseason. We've got them top 25, at number 25, actually. So the JP poll, our internal model, has Mississippi State as a top 25 team. This is one of those classic logo and schedule flaw in logic conundrums. We don't have an acronym for that right now, but we should. So the logo Mississippi State automatically has a connotation. People are not apt to believe in it blindly. The schedule is something that never should enter the equation when you're ranking a team. And that goes a little something like this. Where should I rank Mississippi State? Well, let's look at their schedule. I think they'll go 7-5. That's irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. Whether they play a Connecticut high school schedule or they play in the NFC West, they are the team they are. So in power ratings land, we couldn't care less who they play because it's a variable that shouldn't be baked into the quality of team they are. Imagine this, though. When you want to know, to me, how flawed the doubt is around Mississippi State, I want you to imagine a more established ACC or Big Ten West brand that returns a 10,000-yard career passer, 20 of 22 starters being seniors. They got grown men everywhere. 9 wins last year. Their losses, among those 4, were to LSU, Georgia, that's literally your SEC title game, Alabama, which won the Sugar Bowl, and Kentucky. I think if that team's in the Big Ten West, I think if that's an ACC team, they're in the preseason top 15. They're not there because it's Mississippi State, and I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the coaching situation, a very abnormal coaching situation. So I think that's being baked in the wrong way. I think that's a top 25 team. And by I mean me and the model. And lastly, why not go to Lubbock, Texas? And I'm going there because Texas Tech is one of the most underrated teams we have in college football this year. Now, the discrepancy's not as big. So the AP has Texas Tech at 26. What a disgrace. The Red Raiders, not even in the top 25. Well, we took care of them. We got them at 21. Models loving Texas Tech. Coming off the most wins since 2013. Now, that doesn't necessarily matter when it's baked into this year, but I want to remind you, this is not a team that's been left for dead. They showed signs last year. I, personally, think we probably have Tyler Shuck rated higher as a quarterback than maybe an AP voter does in his or her mind. And I just want to remind you guys, you're free to doubt. It's your constitutional right to doubt a quarterback. It's one of the amendments, actually, according to 3-year Letterman. And I just want to remind you guys, as you decide who to doubt and who not to doubt, Tyler Shuck is 8-0 in games he starts and finishes at Texas Tech. It gets no better. I guess the health could get better, but the record gets no better. There's an energy around the program, also non-quantifiable, unquantifiable, maybe even inquantifiable. They're better than 26. That's what I'm telling you. There is dark horse Big 12 title contention energy around Texas Tech this year. And I know that sentence was a little bit too convoluted to put in the hype video, but I believe in Texas Tech, so you can put that in there.